And we're live. Damn. I was so prepared because I saw that countdown going down, and then it does this. I totally forgot, and then it's like, oh, it's already over.
Every week we do the same thing. I think.
Eventually, we're going to get better.
We will.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Welcome to a new fantastic show of 302 of a Kind. This is my fantastic colleague Izzi Smith.
This is my fantastic colleague Marcus.
That's it. And we got some beer, so cheers.
Cheers, my dears.
Cheers.
Toast.
Cheers also to you already. A lot of people tuning in. If you haven't tuned in already, you won't hear what I'm saying now. But other
maybe
than that,
in the future.
Yeah, maybe in the future. You know, you can tune in on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever. I actually got to retweet your. Let me go to your Twitter page to retweet the video.
Good point. We need to do social media.
That's it. Social media. But media. A lot of people were watching, so that's cool. Thank you so much for watching. And you've chosen a great time to watch because we have an amazing show for you today. Because we have a real star guest, so to speak, today in our show. We actually. Bit of what?
You mean me, right?
Oh, of course. Then you're going to tell us something about Google Analytics 4.
No. Please, no.
I couldn't either. So we were just making fun of him, like backstage. And I'm saying, like, he's going to leave. And like, please don't leave us because we don't know shit about Google Analytics 4. But we have someone who knows considerably more than shit about it. He really knows really good about the topic Google Analytics 4. So he's I would say in Germany, one of the alten Hasen, the old, what's a Hase?
You mean like the rabbit, the hare?
Rabbit, an old rabbit, ein Urgestein, a clockstone in Germany. While my kid is just screaming. Yeah, genau. I'm sorry for this.
He's shouting rabbit, Dad. It's rabbit.
It's not shouting rabbit. They're actually going off to a beer garden because his teacher had actually her last day, or will have her last day, and it's sort of like a celebration. So they're all going to a beer garden with them, like all the parents, apparently without me. But let's see if the weather is still holding till after the show. Sure. I might join them later. But I want to tell you about this guy. So as I said, he's like an old rabbit in the SEO industry, and not just the SEO industry, but the online marketing industry overall, because he actually used to be the managing director at Alta Vista, and actually before Google got around in Germany. So this is really to the high point, of Alta Vista's height, especially in Germany. It was like the most famous search engine in Germany, and he took the job as a managing director at Alta Vista on the day when Google launched in Germany. So obviously, it went all down from there. It was not his fault. I think we can all agree on this. But obviously, there's some great stories in this. He was also working for Yahoo or Overture, the guys that invented PPC advertisement. And he worked at Yahoo. He worked at Kaleido. And he has so much stuff, so much more. So let me get him on the stage. We're really proud to have him on our show today. We were really looking forward to this. And we've been telling this to you a couple of shows already. So thank you for finally making it. Please give a warm round of welcome to Mr. Alexander Holl.
Woo! Yeah. Hey, Izzy. Hey, Marcus. I'm not a rabbit. Maybe a dinosaur. And I just have water. Yes, an old rabbit. Oh, I like this German English things.
It's great.
Actually, I watched your show last time with Werner Neusternick, the Suchknecht. What is he then when I'm a dinosaur?
He's like the dead dinosaur. He's like the dinosaur of all dinosaurs. So he's actually referring to a show we have in German. It's called on Clubhouse, and we had a very famous guest on there, which was the Suchknecht, the search. What's Knecht?
Knight? The knight?
No, knight is not Knecht. Knecht, he's helping the knight. A Knecht is a servant. So the search servant sounds much better in German. The Suchknecht. And he's actually my Dark Lord. So before, before, I really got the white hat SEO. I was a spammer, and this is actually the guy that converted me to the dark side. When I was about to start SEO, he was like, "Oh, forget the good part. I show you how it really works." And so I was basically jamming and spamming for a couple of years. This was due to him before I eventually became a white hat. You might know the story with Rand Fishkin calling me out on his blog, and I think 2008, and Matt Katz commenting on this. This was the turning point for me, making me a white hat. Long story. But yeah, we had the Suchknecht who was visiting me here in Munich, and we had an amazing show because he was telling all these old stories about, like really the first days in SEO in Germany. And he actually brought Jens Menzenbach with him, who was working closely together with Frank Moll. And Frank Moll was the first German SEO. As I think you can really say this, he was the first German SEO. And there's a legendary interview with him in the biggest tech magazine in Germany, which is called CT. And it was from 2002 about search engine optimizers, the rise of the search engine optimizer. It's a fabulous interview because, there's so much stuff in there. But again, it's German. So I was just about to tell you, explain what Alexander was referencing. But let's not talk about the search servant. Let's talk about this guy here, about this guy here, about Alexander, because as I said, you've been the managing director of Alta Vista. And if I remember correctly, I hope I told the story right, you started your job on the day when Google started in Germany. That's correct, right?
It's not exactly correct. What is correct, at the day I started, our traffic lines were crossing. So we were going down and Google was going up, and this was the exact point where Google had more searches than we at this time. This was really a shame, I have to say. But well, there's nothing to say. I just started at this day, and everything went
down from there.
Yeah,
but it wasn't your fault. You obviously also said you were also working at Yahoo, so you really have a very, very big experience in the online marketing scene in Germany. And a little bit later, you actually had a fantastic idea because you saw that there's just a bit of a fragmented approach to Weiterbildung. What's Weiterbildung in English? Weiterbildung, English, to further education. Further education, is that a word?
Yeah.
Weiterbildung, let CC, self-improvement, further education, advanced training. So for online marketing topics. And so you founded 121 Watt together with actually Holger Meyer, who used to be the managing director of Google in Germany. You guys founded 121 Watt together.
Yeah.
And
which is a terrible name in English, right?
It's horrible.
So it's horrible. We never had an international perspective on this because if we were to have an international perspective, we would have called it different, right? Maybe, or but not 121 Watt. What? No, what?
What?
Yeah.
What does it mean in German? Is it
nothing
more?
That's
relevant?
A long story.
This is bad. But it sounds better. No,
Yeah.
But what is it? What's about? What's the 121? What does it mean?
Well, it was deriving from a book I read somewhere in 1996 about e-commerce, and so they were talking about one-to-one marketing, and I thought what we were doing at Overture, so having these PPC ads, was really coming close to one-to-one marketing because somebody was searching, and we were answering this search basically by advertisement. And second part actually is a little bit more complex. So in 2005, Thomas Eisinger, at this time from Explido, and I were founding the group, the task force at BVDW, which is the German Association for Digital Marketing, and this was called performance marketing,
like the German SEMPO.
Yeah. And so at this time, we were saying at 121 Watt, we only will educate on performance marketing. So this was our initial point. And so that's now really complex because how you call this? In Germany, it's Leistung. In English, it's performance. And I think there was James Watt, right? And the, how you call this, the Einheit. This is terrible. We need more.
It turns out to be like a German-English.
The unit.
The
unit for performance is Watt. And it's deriving from James Watt. Oh, that's very complex.
So light bulbs have the watt.
Yes,
that's
right.
That's what I was thinking of with watt. I always thought it was from the light bulbs, from the energy unit.
It's not deriving from the flux compensator, which has a performance of 1.21 gigawatt. Which is
you have definitely watched your Back to the Future episodes. Very well done. So 121 watts, so terrible name, but still it's a great company because you really, I mean, like still in Germany, you're the #1 source for online marketing trainings, for online marketing workshops, and you even have an MBA. You even offer an MBA in performance marketing or some sort of, right? Yeah. So you really like are the biggest source, and always when I meet people, especially, you know, when we're talking enterprise customers, I will have so many people who have visited a 121 watt training before. So you are really, just as Professor Dr. Mario Fischer, you're really shaping a lot of the German online marketers / SEOs. So you got quite some power, right? I mean, like seriously, what you're teaching, like it really goes throughout the whole industry, and it's really crazy to see, you know, what you've built up there. Can you share some insights, like how many courses are you giving throughout the year?
Well, I think the interesting part, you were saying I'm a dinosaur in digital marketing or in online marketing. And I was thinking about this, and actually back in 2008, I think to a certain extent, I was able to follow on all the developments in online marketing. It's quite impossible today. And this reflects a little bit our portfolio, because we started at this time with 5 different topics. So we were talking about web analytics and SEO and Google AdWords at this time, and conversion optimization. And I think nowadays we have 58 different courses, and things are getting so complex that we expect to have maybe in 2 years 80, 90 different topics.
Wow.
Maybe on, I don't know, data literacy, on server-sided tagging, on maybe things go vertical. So SEO goes maybe in a vertical direction as well. So we're talking maybe about SEO not only for e-commerce, but maybe for health companies, or who knows? We're not sure. But we last time I talked to my colleague Christoph Röck, who is now my shareholder and my co-CEO. And
also a very nice guy. Used to run Affiliate in Germany, amongst a lot of other things. Awesome guy.
Yeah, and he's our PhD, so he has his doctor, so he's our academic part.
You know,
but I think so. On the one side, what we're trying to do is offering really the broad range of everything what's related to digital marketing. And secondly, I think especially since Corona, but even before, we were trying to offer really different formats, not only having seminar and say, hey, good morning, guys, 12 people sitting in the room, but opening this up to different formats, like having videos, having webinars, and more to expect for the coming month, I think.
Exciting.
And regarding demand, do you see like a rise, maybe even a downward trend with people requesting SEO for the education in SEO? What's like the latest riser? Is it like TikTok and I don't know, like, because you have so many things you're teaching people, but what's the current demand?
I think so. First of all, to a certain extent, we feel ourselves a mixture between an e-commerce company and a company producing drugs. Drugs, not what you think in alcohol. You say drugs, right?
What do you think? I think. I don't know.
Huh?
I was
thinking
what you were thinking. I don't know.
So we're constantly, or pharma, like the US say. So we're constantly trying to develop new courses, and sometimes we don't know what the people are asking for. So we're just trying it, and so what turns out, things like influencer marketing really got strong, and Instagram, and funnily, we thought this will be a big thing. We had a course on artificial intelligence in digital marketing. And we thought, wow, this is great. I wanted really to join this course. And it was a flop.
Oh, no.
And probably we think it's because it's kind of interesting, but more on an academic level. Huh?
It's not applicable. You know, what are you doing a job with that kind of knowledge? It's like, it's nice. It's nice for like the occasional dinner party or soiree you're having, but during Corona, we don't have that anyway. So we can, you know, nobody needs that.
For instance, a topic like LinkedIn ads, super fantastic. We have a seminar which we didn't expect was really successful, was a video production for social media. But I think this is exactly what's out there in the industry. So people are asking for not like academic on a cocktail party, or did you know about artificial intelligence? They really want to know how things are working. And we'll see what comes in the future, but this is in the moment that's our experience. So the more concrete, the better it is.
But SEO still is like constantly being requested. There's no real upward downward trend.
I think since so this was always our #1 topic, SEO. Awesome. And we have quite different courses on SEO, but this was always our #1 topic. But I think even since Corona, we saw a 30 to 40% increase in SEO demand or people asking for SEO courses.
Awesome.
And actually, yesterday I had an advanced seminar, and the first time I had somebody on my seminar, and I said, "Wow, this is super fantastic. This is this is brilliant what you're doing." This was it was a single page, not a single page application. It was a blog post. But this was so perfect. I thought, well, this is, I don't know technically, but content-wise, I thought this is a role model for SEO.
Wow, nice.
Would you share that? Because now I'm like really intrigued, you know, what this person has written there.
It was from the right blog.
Yeah,
most probably.
It was from a German earphone company, which is called Bayer, Biodynamics. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were writing a blog post about impedance, which is ohm. So they were explaining what this means. And I think it was really about task completion. It was perfectly suited for the reader. They had super text. They had a video. They had a calculator. They had a super graphic. Everything. So I thought it was perfect. And can I share this somewhere?
I'm actually just Googling for impedance.
Yeah. I think they're #2 because there's another company, kopfhörer.de, right before them. But
keyword match domains beat everything.
But obviously it's a German example, so let's I'm going to look at that on my own time because we actually have a very interesting topic to you. But first of all, I want to really give a big shout out to your background because you are carbon neutral. So 120 watt is carbon neutral. That was the wrong side, by the way.
Here, yes, here.
And you're actually carbon neutral, and you have the carbon neutral badge. So thanks so much for helping, you know, making the internet carbon neutral. Thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe if I may say something to this. So we know we have a lot of change and climate and all these issues. But 1.5 or 2 years ago, I stopped about, this is, oh my God, I have to watch more news on this. And like, it's all running into a catastrophe. I thought, if I have to change and do little things, so little steps. And so I'm driving e-car since 2 years and all this stuff. But I think actually I found your this right promotion or this right action super about having this little calculator in right, and I thought this super, and it was not too expensive, but I think this is not the thing. It's really important that we're just doing it, even if it's 60 euros for us. So it's not a big thing, but I think if we have not only one step, but maybe a million of people doing this, then it's a big step. So
maybe we can have our colleague Bianca just drop in the link real quick into the display it real quick if somebody's interested in this, because again, everybody can help, and as Alexander said, it's not a whole lot, right? You don't have to spend a whole lot to really like compensate the CO2 consumption of your website. So be smart like Alex, and yeah, get carbon free neutral and make us help make us make the internet carbon neutral. Awesome. By the way, I have to read some guys. I totally forgot about this. So we got Sam. Hey, Sam. Thanks for watching.
Sam.
Yeah. We also have Guten Tag. Nice. We also have Rüdiger Deicho. White hat.
Hey, Rüdiger.
Oh, it's actually a black hat, but obviously my choice of couture has nothing to do with my your
SEO political stance.
Thank you so much. I was there struggling. What the hell? I was struggling. We also got a Rainer Reitz, Weissbier.
Hey, Rainer.
So take a Weissbier as well, Rainer, and enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. So, but obviously we have a big topic we want to discuss with you, and it was actually a very I want to say famous.
Maybe
a very special show we had on 3 o'clock. It was a great reception because I want to talk to you about Google Analytics 4. Because when Google Analytics 4 came out, you wanted to make a course for 121 watt about Google Analytics 4. And this is what I really like about you. You really dug deep and try to find out everything you possibly could to build the best workshop on Google Analytics 4 that you could possibly do. And then I was like, we didn't just like put the content on our Right magazine, which was awesome. Thank you so much for that for that collaboration. Because we were blogging this in German, we put it on an English blog. This was very nice. But also, I definitely would like to do a show about it because you're, I think, the guy with the most in-depth knowledge about Google Analytics 4, about a topic that I have no idea. I mean, like after listening to you on our show, I now got a sense of it, but it's like totally different than the Google Analytics we are used to. And for me, before we actually had the show, I was always like, oh, that's just the next evolutionary step to Google Analytics. But after having the show, I really understood that Google is trying to do something profoundly different with Google Analytics 4. And this is why we came up with the idea for the show. So thanks so much for doing this again in English. And let's dive right into Google Analytics 4.
Yes, please.
Yeah. As you can see, Izzi is also...
I'm eager. I need to learn more. Yeah. It's been a big topic as well recently because some people are even really against Google Analytics 4. Maybe we'll talk about this today. They're like, why did I upgrade? Why did I do this? Why did I change and migrate?
Yeah, there was actually on social media, which I don't follow, but there was actually a big controversy on Google Analytics where people were saying, I really hate that, as you just said, like I hate it. There's so apparently there's lots of cons, but obviously there's also lots of pros. So let's dive right into Google Analytics 4. And maybe you can give us a quick wrap up of Google Analytics. I mean, we all know it started with Urchin when Google was buying Urchin, but like really how like Google Analytics evolved to the point of now Google Analytics 4.
Well, I think first of all, you were talking about an evolution of web analytics. Fundamentally, I think it's really more a revolution. It's not like, oh, we have migrated from 1.2 to 1.3 and it's a kind of nice interface. And I think you were mentioning these article from Search Engine Journal on 23rd of June, and they were saying, GA4 sucks and it's horrible and it's hard to use. And when preparing for this show and thinking about this, I thought, well, is this correct? And I said, to a certain extent, yes, I agree. Sometimes I hate GA4, because you were saying I was producing a course. And 1.5 weeks ago, they were changing their user interface completely. And I said, my God, the whole course I have to do once again. And this is really huge.
All the screenshots, everything. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So actually, we have to update all as well the article because it's not up to date. And this is a situation where I hate this. But I think on the other side, in the short term, we all love universal analytics, but in the long term, we'll hate it. Because people were always complaining about universal analytics and about limitations. And I think in the short term, we'll hate GA4, but in the long term, we'll love it. So it's not an easy love, but I think it's, as I said, it's a kind of revolution, because what they were trying to change was fundamentally the whole data model. And it's not based on the same technology. It's a completely new technology, which is no more based on these old dinosaur technology, Urchin, which was a company Google was buying in 2005, but is based on Firebase. And they were coming from more an app analytics background, but therefore the technology is completely new, first of all. And this means Analytics 4 has a completely new data model. And the old data model of universal analytics was always saying, well, see, we have users, and users are doing sessions. And within the sessions, they're doing page views. So this was kind of the hierarchical concept of universal analytics. And what GA4 is simply doing is saying, well, see, we have users and they're doing events. That's it. And to a certain extent, this sounds much more easy and it's more logic. On the second side, it's much more flexible. And flexibility means as well sometimes responsibility. So we'll come to this point probably later. Because it's really so flexible, this means in the end you got to plan much more than maybe with universal analytics. But I think overall the data model is quite different. And so the real advantages of analytics, besides all this stuff, you know, machine learning, and you always got to write, yeah, we do some machine learning stuff, which is fine. But I think if we do this more concrete, the big thing is, as I said, is the data model, and that everything is an event. And all the people who were using universal analytics were in a standard implementation, a basic implementation, universal analytics. So actually, when I refer to universal analytics, I mean the old version always. Yep. Universal analytics was only doing or submitting page views to the analytics server. That's it. Yeah. So people go on your website, and the analytics tracking code was sending a page view to the analytics server. That's it. And then people said, that's stupid, because I'm pretty sure that my users are doing much more interactions on my site, like scrolling or doing a site search or downloading a document or watching a video and all this stuff. Yeah? But in order to get this information, you had to implement this. And you know what is happening if people are implementing stuff? Mm-hmm. Some people do it correct, and some do it not. Are not doing this correctly. And there were a lot of pitfalls when implementing this. The easiest pitfall was how to name this, because we at this time in universal analytics we had three possibilities to name an event. For instance, a user is scrolling. And you had a so-called event category, an event action, and an event label. Mm-hmm. And Google was not talking about what to write into this. And so people were saying, I could write this. Well, that's fun. But when I, for instance, was auditing some of these analytics implementations, or I had some people on this seminar, on our seminars, that were saying, Alexander, just one question. Could you have a look in my analytics implementation? What does it mean over here on event category? There's written NL_THD_ something. I said, I have no idea. Sorry, because
you should know. You wrote it, right?
Yeah. And they thought there's a standard. I said, no, it's your responsibility. Yeah. And so what GA4 was doing out of the box, they were saying, see, in order to avoid this, we have 6 standard events you can track. like the page view, which is always important, but as well having something like scrolling, like an automatic download event or a click out event when people are clicking from your domain to another domain, and a video start and all this stuff. So they had 6 standard events, and probably to avoid that people are just doing their own stuff. And I think this is one of the biggest advantages besides this new data model. Because if you come to the point to say, okay, yeah, that's nice, these 6 events, these 6 standard events, but I do need more. Yeah, like I would love to track whether we have logged in users or not. And so this is still possible, but much more flexible because, and I hope I don't go too much in detail with this category action label, but we were pretty limited in what to write into this. And now you have a simple definition. You have an event, which you can tailor-made, and you can say, well, that's my event name. And I can add up to 25 parameters where I'm interested in, like my event is, for instance, an advanced scroll. Yeah, like I want to scroll if people are scrolling for 10, 20, 30, 40%. So you could implement this, but add much more information. Yeah? And so instead of having maybe just 3 fields, I have up to 25 parameters I could add to. Yeah? But this gives much more flexibility. Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And actually, I'm not sure whether on a later stage, can I share on a later stage my screen?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I was actually about to share your article we have here on write.com. I can also share this real quick because it's a great article, despite the fact that apparently now the screenshots are a little bit outdated.
Yeah. And Marcus and Izzi, just to say, the fundamental function is still there. It just looks a little bit different. So people were saying, oh, I have this screenshot. Let me see. Where is it now? So it's pretty hard to find. It's still the same functionality. And maybe you can share, and I can just share how this looks today. And I
can share my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, and maybe we're just scrolling upwards. So I think when we have the first graphic, oh no, that's the Explorer. A little bit further down. Still a little bit further down. These are that's the comparison. Okay, my God, where do I have this screenshot? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this was the old user interface, and they were migrating this within the last 2-3 weeks. So somebody was calling me and said, "Oh, that's different over here," and I said, "No, it's the same." And it's okay when I share.
Sure.
Yeah. So share my screen. Let me
see the button.
There should be a share button.
Yes, yeah, of course. So, okay, let me just quickly go into the. So, well, that's new. You see?
Yeah.
Now we have. It's not a big thing, but people are confused, and if they're confused, they sometimes tend to hate it and say, "Where? I got used to this. And where is it now?"
I hate change.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate change, but I think, Izzi, we're in an industry which is constant change, right? And so
we have to be ready for that. Yeah.
Yes.
I personally welcome change.
Yeah.
But lots of people don't.
Yeah. You have to love change.
I welcome good change
for the better. Yeah, exactly. Change for the better.
And maybe I'm just showing these what I was referring to. So these.
I was just looking at the 135,000 revenue you were doing in the last months. Thank you. Very well done.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
And maybe analytics apparently does.
maybe just to, I have some tips for you as well. You want to hear something?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Because first, what you see over here, that's all in German, right? And we have probably an English audience as well, right?
I would say almost only English audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very international.
Yeah. Actually, usually how you change in analytics, you go over here, you go over here, and you can change over here. So
Nutzer means user. So these are the user configuration.
Yes, right. Yes. Over here, you could change your language, and then we have the English language settings. Mm-hmm. This takes ages.
Oh.
So it's a very little thing, but extremely helpful. You type in over here, which you know maybe from Google as well. You change over here the language to EN, which is pretty quick. If it works.
Oh no.
No. Hold on for a second. I forgot over here the ampersand, I think. So let me just check these once again. Over here, you see.
Nice.
Yeah, and the good thing is it can take 5-6 hours till it changes when you do this by the user settings. And you see, I could change very quickly over here too.
But there must be something else changing.
Guess the language now.
All right. That's weird.
Yeah, that's Finnish. Yeah,
I already hate the
So that's not a big thing, but I can tell you it's extremely helpful because some things as well within GA4 are sometimes confusing when you have maybe your native settings like Germany or French. And sometimes it's much clearer when you have the English settings, but sometimes you got to switch back. When I was referring to these data streams, which are, I think, the events are really in the core of GA4. And these are the standard events. It's a page view, it's a scroll, it's outbound, site search, video engagement, and file downloads, and you don't have to implement anything. Yeah? And when you compare these, or when you see how these events are defined or how they appear, then at a later stage over here in the reports you have, over here, you see that's a scroll event, and it's a page view, and a session start event. And these are all the events you then getting into
Can I also pull the scroll into my overview of my contents to really see, okay, which content actually induces people to scroll?
Yes, yeah, you could do. You could. I love to work live, and so what you could do
we see is
over here. You see engagement pages and screens. Actually, I hate to work with a page title because it constantly changes, or sometimes it changes, and I think it's not pretty nice. So I really prefer to work with page path.
Sure,
that's much better. But now you have to understand this model of GA4 because everything is an event. So that's your that's the pages people were viewing. But if you, for instance, would love to know the scrolls, you could go over here to the events, and you're just choosing your event. Yeah, for instance, that's a scroll event. So. And you see then maybe the scrolls and or over here on a later stage, the conversions. What is missing actually in the moment, so you don't have parity to functions compared to universal analytics, is something like the conversion rate, which would be super. Huh? If you have a conversion rate like out of these, how many were really converting. Huh? But overall, to have an understanding, if out of this 1 hour, you understand there's events and they are described by an event name and parameters, that's super, because that's the foundation of analytics 4. Yeah? And you see, I went over.
Would I still fire an event? Like, also, for example, we have a lead page where we send people through, and then people will type in the domain, will download a PDF, and on the thank you form that normally you would trigger the view for that
conversion.
conversion pixel. and that is different now.
Yeah, at Universal Analytics, you were, and I jumped quickly to Universal just to get a look on this. So, on Universal Analytics, what you had to do is, you were thinking about goals, and you had this kind of structure over here, and you said, okay, I'm going to create a new goal over here. Yeah? So this was the idea of Universal Analytics. This is different to GA4, because GA4 was saying, okay, see, the first thing you do is you have automated events, so standard events like, for instance, the scroll or the session start. Yeah, these are standard events which you're getting out of the box. You can create your own events, but when you have all your events, then you can just mark them as a conversion. Yeah? So the foundation of everything are events, and it's quite a challenge to come up with an idea about what kind of events do I need. But once you have them established, it's pretty easy to just mark them as a conversion, and then you have all the conversions over here. Huh? So that's pretty easy. So you have maybe, let's say, 40 events, and out of them you say, and 15 are conversion events. But there's a big warning on this.
Okay. Okay. Now we're very detailed. Into this, but let's back down like a little bit. Actually, Michael, thanks again, Michael Korotkov. He was sharing the article that Izzi mentioned earlier, so that a lot of people there was really some sort of a backlash with people like really being unhappy about having implemented Google Analytics 4. So let's get to the one straight point. Like, what are the pros? Like, why or who should actually do the move, go from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4, and who shouldn't? And what are the cons? Like, in which specific instances would you advise against going to Google Analytics 4 but staying with Universal?
Nobody should migrate to GA4 directly.
Nobody. That's a statement. I love it. Okay, nobody should.
Nobody. Hold on. First, Izzi's confused.
There was a.
What is happening?
Please. Always have Universal Analytics and GA4 in parallel.
That's a nice tip. All right.
Because I was talking to somebody last time, and whilst I was talking, I was watching here. So I went on his webpage and just analyzing. I thought, shit, he just migrated directly to GA4 and kicked off the old Universal Analytics. I thought it's not a good idea. Please, always in parallel.
Ended like this? Is it easy to do? Can I just run it in parallel, or do I have to apply some special magic?
If you do this upgrade so you have an old Universal Analytics implementation, you do an upgrade, you always run in parallel. So this means you really intentionally have to remove the old Universal Analytics code. But some people are saying, oh, well, that's a new thing. Get rid of the old. Please don't do this. It's not a good idea, because I think in the moment, GA4 is not for a broad audience. The idea of Universal Analytics was always kind of, we trying to, democratize? We give data to everybody. And Universal Analytics is easy to a certain extent, So because it's very structured, and say, this is there's your digital marketing channels. Have a look over here. So it's a pretty structured approach. And when you now go to your team and say, hey, surprise, get rid of your Universal Analytics. We have now GA4. People will hate you. And that's okay, because they said, Izzi, see, last time you were, 2 weeks ago, you were saying, there's my report. I have a new interface. What is happening now? And last week it was called Analysis Hub. Today it's called Explore. So just to say, it's really new. It's really complex. It's really flexible, but it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Things are constantly changing. And I think for experienced analysts and people who are maybe very early in the curve, say like early adapters, that's now the time to get in touch with GA4. But I wouldn't suggest to go now in a digital marketing team to say now everybody has to use now GA4.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
The big chaos. Yeah, of course.
If you have a completely new version and it's constantly changing, and there are some metrics which are new, some definitions which are new, this can lead to a lot of confusion. So I think you got to properly plan not only a technical implementation, but especially how you implement this within your organization. And not just saying, "Oh, here, guys, you have you have your new GA4. Have fun." You need to do a lot of training in house.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
But in the end, you're saying people should do that move, right? Because right now it sounds like a real big anti-commercial for GA4. It's complicated. People don't recognize it anymore. There's so much stuff that could be better. You should run in parallel.
Yeah,
I'm not really enticed. You know,
I know.
Marketing team, we really got to get a move on GA4.
But it's so impressing. It is so impressive because it's terribly flexible. Can I show one piece of this flexibility?
Sure, you can show whatever you want. It's awesome.
To explain it. Let me just. Okay, you should now see Universal Analytics. This is correct?
No.
We see nothing.
Oh, you see nothing. That's good. But now
we see Inception. And yes, now we see old analytics.
So I was like, I hope it's not the beer. It's like, oh my God.
So going back, this is Universal Analytics. You see all the reports over here, real time. Yes. That's okay. Yeah, it's very structured. And I'm moving back now to this, and this is really new. It's just was rolled out. So you have, it looks similar. You see over here acquisition. So how did you acquire your users and engagement? What were they doing? But actually, what you have over here, and this is new, is a library. And so they were breaking up this concept and of
there's a right reporting.
Yeah, I did some testing before. So, but I want to show you. So you gotta go over here.
It was like he's secretly spying on our account or something like that.
Yeah.
We just caught him right in the act. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh yeah, now it was too quick. So you could create over here a new report. Yeah, like a detailed report. Yeah. And you say, okay, let's use acquisition report. And this looks like these reports, these custom reports, which you had in Universal Analytics. Yeah, and you could go over here and to have all your metrics over here and maybe change, and say, I want to move this up and I want to move this down.
It's a bit like Data Studio.
That's kind of appearance of Data Studio. So I could go now and save this, and we call it now. Let's call it Izzi. Izzi and Marcus. Yes. So and I hope everything is working now because it's really live and
empty.
Yeah. Okay, I created this now, and so I do now a new collection. And I say, okay, will be the user collection, and I have now the Izzi reporting. Yeah, and you could imagine now I did a tailor-made over here. So let me just create new topic. Oops, and it doesn't work when I'm trying to show this. But, and that's a good thing, I did prepare.
The Vorführ effect.
Yeah, the Vorführ.
Yes.
But what then happens is you have now the possibility to show this reports over here in your standard reports. Yeah? So you're doing your own tailor-made report and changing the whole structure, and you say, oh, I have my Izzi reporting. Yeah? And I think that's the one thing which is extremely flexible.
Very customizable. Yeah.
Very customizable. But you know what? Because it's customizable, you gotta think a lot about what you really want. Huh? It's not about click here. It's really you got to think about, and I think this is one of the flexibilities. And the second flexibility is, and I think this is one of the really big things, is the detail reports, which appear more like Data Studio, I think. Yeah, like for instance, you have over here, and this is a completely new appearance. You never had this in Universal Analytics. And what you could do over here is, for instance, a path exploration, which sounds familiar. But what's new, for instance, you can do, let me just show this, a reverse pathing, which means you say, oh, see, this was the endpoint of the user, and I would love to see how he got there. And I think this is very interesting. And there are completely new techniques, like the cohort exploration. And everybody who uses Universal Analytics knows that, yes, we had cohorts, but they were always limited to 3 months. So for me, more or less useless in Universal Analytics. And now you can, for instance, say, well, give me all the people I was acquiring at week X to Z. Yeah? And how were they returning and how much money they were spending. And this is not limited to 3 months. So the flexibility, the really third big flexibility, besides events, besides this reporting, what we saw before, is really about having these new exploration possibilities with all these events, and with really, I can show you something with completely new figures as well. So figures I never saw before in analytics, which are like just show engagement in lifetimes in the 10th percentile, and I said, oh wow, what is this now? This is really astonishing, and I think we're all not up to speed what exactly we can do out of this, but it gives completely new possibilities, like not saying, well, my target group, my users were in average 3.34 minutes on my page, but really saying, so what is my top 10 group? How much time they are spending? Like, oh, they are spending 28 minutes on my newsletter. So you could really build structured reports. And in this sense, I think this is really the next generation. It's not just a little evolution, it's really a revolution. And in the long term, this will be, I think, a real big thing.
But talking of cohorts, I have a question to this. So, I mean, a lot of this goes into that you need cookies for this, right? I need to give you a cookie to identify you again, to actually see, oh, look at this, you have actually visited my page like 2 months ago. But cookies are going away. Is like, how is Google Analytics for coping with this eventuality of cookies going away?
Well, I have to say, and if I had an answer on this, probably Google would, everybody would hire me, right?
I would hire you anyway. I mean, like, your knowledge on this, I mean, like, I'm astounded. I'm like really like still like I still like her. I still like here 30% Bahnhof Central Station.
A rapid Central Station.
You know, Bahnhof verstehen, Izzi, right? Yeah. Also nur Bahnhof verstehen, only understanding Central Station. Oh, you don't know. So if you just understand Bahnhof, also nur Bahnhof verstehen, if you just understand Central Station, you're not understanding anything. You're just hearing Bahnhof.
Yeah.
Right? So in your mind, it's like monster trucks, right?
I'm learning so many German sayings today, and a lot about Google Analytics 4. Yeah. It's great.
I was just using DeepL, which is a super translation service, but they were really saying understand station. So they have no idea how to translate this.
No,
no clue at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think overall this cookie topic is huge. And we know that a lot of browsers were saying, well, see, cookies are going away. Safari was starting with, we're banning third-party cookies from the very beginning. So they were never accepting third-party cookies. But we know we have to say goodbye probably to cookies in the future. And from my understanding, Google then was saying, okay, we see this and we have some ideas what we're going to do. And they had a concept out there, which was called Flux. Did you hear about this? Flux, these federated...
Federal learning, of course.
Yeah, I think most of the Google developers, I have no idea. But
I said back 2 years, because Europe was like, no, it's not going to happen. And they got a lot of pushback on this.
Yeah, and WordPress was saying, we will block this automatically.
Yeah,
and Amazon was saying, disable Flux. And so... I think they postponed now.
Unless on 8books, which is a very strong move by Amazon. By the way.
What was it?
On 8books. They still have it live on 8books. Basically, like, let us just see, what we can find out here with 8books. But every other Amazon property.
I didn't know this. This is
funny.
So I think in this sense, this is really unclear in the moment. What this mostly means, then they say, we're doing some machine learning stuff and we're trying to replace some of the data we are losing by machine learning algorithm. I think this is unclear in the moment how they are really going to do this. So I have no real idea, besides maybe if you're doing your own stuff, maybe. But like this, there's one of these pathways, which is server-sided tagging, and to route this via your own service. But in the moment, I think there is no answer on this, and I have no idea how they're going to solve this. And this is fundamentally a bigger problem since now, since a couple of, I would say, 3-4 years that we have more and more data erosion. And you remember maybe on SMX Advanced, Pip was having a super ending keynote on and this was a big picture how the big industries like Google, like Apple, like Facebook, they're trying to protect their own data and building these kind of castles. And I think there's no real answer on this. I have no idea how this will be in 2 years. You have an idea?
I have absolutely no idea. This is why I was asking. But you also mentioned machine learning. And I mean, like with Google, basically becoming a machine learning company. Like what Sundar Pichai was actually like saying 2 years ago. So I would expect like with Google Analytics to have like this baked in machine learning capabilities or something. Is there something within Google Analytics 4 which was already like paving the way towards more machine learning in your account, like easy to do machine learning? I mean, like obviously you can pull that data, you can pull it somewhere else, and you like do your own stuff on this. But is there something baked into Google Analytics 4? What I would expect from a company like Google who really wants to move into that field just more aggressively.
Let me just share once again, because it's I think the easiest to show.
Show us the artificial intelligence. Also, show it to us. Awesome.
So, okay. You have my empty screen now, my Google Start page, right?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No. Still seems... Oh, no.
Okay, good. So, let's move now to GA4 once again. And just let me switch to English.
By the way, also the overview, like the real-time overview, is also much better than the very rudimentary live overview we are used to in universal analytics.
That's true.
That's really cool. Really cool.
It is much nicer. But all the analysts are saying, it's not so important. We just need data. But so what you have is in terms of machine learning, but you have this in universal analytics as well. Is this, you see, it's magic.
Ooh,
with a
magic wand. I love it.
And so ask analytic. That's the simple stuff. And we had this in universal analytics as well. Actually, what's new is when you go to the exploration over here, and just let me start with something blank over here, and I switch now to user lifetime, and so I move to the metrics.
I'm actually really eager to start playing around with Google Analytics 4, even despite the kind of negative things around it. It just looks so fun and cool to play with.
I like your ambition because I'm just appalled. I'm like, oh my God.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So there are things like baked in, which you only have if you have a certain amount of transactions. Like, what is the probability of people going away? What is the probability of people coming back to your site and buying? And you have this in some reports. And over here, when you go on audiences, you can create some audiences. And this sounds like machine learning, right? Predictive.
Magic wand. It is machine learning.
Unfortunately, we are not eligible to use this because we have not enough transactions. But this is where, on a second stage, machine learning is baked in because you have likely 7 days churning users and predicted 28 days top spenders. And I think this is, you see this by these little stars over here. This is machine learning. And this can be huge for companies over here in Germany, like maybe Otto or Zalando. This could be extremely interesting. For, I think, smaller accounts, this is not applicable.
So what would be the least amount of conversions I would need to have?
I think it's around 1,000 transactions you need per month.
Okay. So this would also be, I mean, like we have like almost 1,000 free accounts each day. So we could pull this over the free account metric. Since Izzi is now playing around with this apparently over the weekend, I'm really looking forward
weekend
to
plan.
Reports on Monday.
It's going to be fully set up, everything integrated. Yeah. I will just overwrite the old analytics, Mark.
Oh, no, we learned.
But I think, Mark, that most of the SEOs are perfectly suited for analytics as well. Because I think to a certain extent we're all very data driven, right? So even the tool is different.
Should be. What else? Like, oh no, just my gut. I'm just working on my gut feelings. I'm not trusting GSC, Google.
That happens. Yeah.
What if you do influencer marketing? You're very data driven.
Influencer. I can proudly say we have not done influencer marketing besides Izzi, who's our in-house influencer, so to speak.
Speak for yourself, Marcus.
No, we've never engaged in influencer marketing.
I can't think of a similar thing.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say I think it's also. Yes. Christopher was saying.
Christopher is saying GA4 is awesome, flexible. Also, the debug view in combination with GTM is great. So we have a definite pro here.
Yes.
Yes.
But I hope it's okay when I jump into this because
okay.
I'm not a developer. I sometimes think I'm a little bit nerdy, or I became nerdy in the last 10 years, nerdy. But. I studied business administration, and I think there's a big thing about this because in the midterm we'll all migrate to GA4, And I think there's a big chance to clean up the mess from Universal Analytics, first of all. Secondly, and this is just my my experience, can be different, but what I realized that a lot of very technically oriented guys were loving Universal Analytics. Ah, that's cool. Oh, you could track this. And you can track if the tab is open. Ah, that's, yeah. And this is, right. I see the Zimo Ahava fraction. All the people will love Zimo's block, which is super. But I think it's pretty dangerous to go down the same route. Because I think because it's so flexible, it's good maybe to really think like the business guys and start with, it's stupid when I'm going to say this, with business requirements, like with the fundamentals, because it's so flexible. It's not like I go into Universal Analytics and gives me a lot of answers. It's more like, okay, I'm very flexible. Please ask the right questions. But if you have no idea about the right questions, you will just do some stuff and say, oh, that's crazy. And Izzi will maybe say, oh, I love this.
It's shiny and new. What's not to love?
It's shiny and new, and it gives so many opportunities.
That's what I'm excited about, because like the whole topic of conversions, right? Everyone just seems to associate a conversion with an e-commerce transaction, whereas a conversion could be any kind of particular goal that you're aiming for. And Alex left.
All right. What did you just say? Like,
I'm so sorry, Xander.
I guess that's it. I mean, like, this is all he had to say about Google Analytics 4. I don't know.
That was a very epic exit.
But finish your sentence. I'm still interested in your opinion.
Yeah, because SEOs can, with our content and with the elements we have on pages, we can influence many different events or actions. We can't always influence an e-commerce transaction because there's many more things down the funnel that can influence that.
Hello, I was.
Welcome back.
Yeah, you know the red button you see up there in your browser window? Don't press it. Like, seriously, I know you like to press a lot of buttons, you know, when you're like figuring stuff out.
Yeah, I was just trying to bring up a resource and say, shit, I closed now. Am I the only one who ever made this mistake?
No, I do this all the time in Google Hangouts and meetings. I like go to close a tab and then I'll click on a tab and I close the X on the tab. So I'm with you, Xander.
Thanks very much. But actually, I wanted to say, and this was kind of maybe a little tip, take the chance with GA4 to really start your data future completely new, and not like, oh, I'm going to implement this and that, and it really gets confusing after a certain time. It's really about maybe starting with business requirements. I started really, it's not professional, and it's really in the very beginning, and I'll give you a hint maybe for a better document, but just to give you the idea, I wanted to prepare this for this show, and it's not finished, I have to admit. And I hope I will.
The show isn't finished either, so
yeah, good. So what I was starting was kind of simple business requirements document. Yeah, it's very simple because most people are just having very simple questions like, what is the success of my campaigns? So it is nothing spectacular, or how many newsletter registration I do have, or what's the success of my videos? And so in order to plan, you maybe think about your primary interaction. So how you measure success, like, oh yeah, the campaign success is measured maybe on purchase. Yeah? And that's actually the event. So you see, these are all the events which you're having. And TBD means we would love to measure this, but it's not an out-of-the-box event. And then you could maybe start to say, well, see, my secondary interaction would be an add to cart, which is not perfect, but it's kind of little conversion. Yeah? And you see, I didn't finish this. And my metrics are maybe like transactions, lifetime value, turnover, conversions, or maybe sessions. And you could maybe start off with just collecting what are my requirements, what kind of measurement I have, and this is then coming down to all the events which you're implementing. And in the end, maybe you have a document to say, yeah, I would love to measure this, but we don't have an event. So now we're going to think about how we do this and how we're going to implement this. And this is just a starting point. And I'm not sure whether this is helpful, but I think this could be good to start to kick off GA4.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I like the idea of actually grouping people that have read a specific amount of articles from our wiki, from our magazine. I think this is what you've done here: bronze reader, silver reader, platinum reader, gold reader. These have users who have read a certain amount of posts on magazine. That's actually a very smart idea.
Yeah, that's the one. And I did share. I have so many screens over here, and I wanted to share a second screen. Let me just check this with what I was referring to, a business requirements document. You see this?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Always
Let me add it to the stream. Here you go.
There we go. Ooh.
There we go. Okay. So this is what I was talking about. Ooh. So maybe it's a very simple document. You see, it's over here describing potentially questions everybody has in a company, right? Like, what is my SEO performance? And maybe you say, yeah, well, we measured this by having purchase, but maybe more on a content side, maybe by sessions, you see, these are all the events.
Cool, yeah.
And you just then define to say, yeah, this I would love to measure this, but I don't have an out-of-the-box event, so we got to define this. And then you maybe have some metrics like these are my quantitative metrics.
But if I've understood everything correctly, this could be just the Aufruf, also the call from for example, the landing page when you said, okay, thank you for signing up to a newsletter. I would say this is triggering this event.
Genau. Right? The first step would be to say, yes, I would love to measure this. Yeah? The second step would be, do I have an out-of-the-box event to measure this? And obviously, you don't have this. So then you say, well, we got to define this. The third step would be then to create an event. But the issue we had in Universal Analytics times that people were just writing stupid stuff.
It's not just in Google Analytics. A lot of people are writing stupid stuff.
Yeah, and us included. So I just show you our events over here, and you will see there's a lot of things over here which don't make a lot of sense, and there's no terminology. Like you see, these are the old events. Like okay, no bounds. You could imagine. Newsletter Anmeldung non-confirmed. Wow, you see, there's no structure, and I think, as I said, it's time for getting structure, and I think as well that GA4 is very keen to have this structure.
Awesome. That's a nice plea at the end. Actually, I love it.
Yeah.
And I really love your plea for really like saying this is the chance for you to finally clean up your data mass and really start tracking your website much more holistically, much better than you ever did before, and get started today, because eventually everybody's going to move to Google Analytics 4. And I think this was a great tip from you as well, that just run it by side right now, just really play around with it, but you still have your Universal Analytics on the side. You're not losing anything, and especially not your mind looking at that new stuff, right? So you really have nothing to lose. Just so much flexibility that it's really like, okay, like it's more about finding ideas for what I would like to track, what I would like to find out, and then if you can dream it, you can filter it, so to speak. You can set it up in Google Analytics. So that's a nice plea. So if anybody's like, okay, now I'm still confused,
which is perfectly fine.
Which perfectly fine. Thank you very much, because I really feel a little bit left out. I'm like watching Izzi. Izzi is like, I got it. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Just typing everything down. Like, let's look into this. Yeah.
So, but obviously, I love that my boss is on the case here, and I can relax and enjoy the new Google Analytics 4 she's building up. I love it. So, but if somebody really wants to get more in depth about this topic, is there anything you would point people to that if you really like Blut geleckt, if you have licked blood? It's a saying again. This is not just me being.
I know it's a saying.
Weird. Okay,
German's weird.
If somebody has Blut geleckt, as if somebody licked blood, where would you point people to?
Well, I think they are compared to Universal Analytics. There were a lot of blogs, but I think there are some names out there which I think do a fantastic job. So I think you definitely should read a blog from Ken Williams, who's doing great stuff. The second is from Charles Farina, as well from US. Simo Ahava is always super. Then there is a super blog, which it was always a super blog in terms of Universal Analytics, which was called Lunametrics. Today it's a shitty name. It's I can hardly pronounce this. Oh, this is so difficult. Bountiness.
Bountiness.
Oh, bountiness. So
bountiness.
It's like
what
fruitful.
Yeah,
like it's full of benefit and value.
Yeah. It was called Lunametrics.
Boundedness. Oh, what a fun word. Boundedness.
No,
not boundedness.
And there's a uniform boundedness principle.
I think it's like this. I put it.
Gleichmäßigen Beschränktheit. I'm also beschränkt.
Is it correct? Is it?
Where?
I put it in the chat. Bound.
Okay.
It's really hard.
In English, it's like bountifulness, like a feast that is full of.
Let me check if I have this, because I think this is a super blog as well, and it's bound. It's hard to pronounce. I can tell you.
Always worth checking before rebranding.
Yeah. It's over here, and I put that's all the analytics articles. I put it.
I was actually just searching for it on Google, and I had the rare occurrence of Google not displaying a single result. So
which is good.
If you want to do an SEO competition, I found the word right here, and apparently I suck at spelling.
Yeah. Then it's Michaela Linhardt from Austria. She's doing a super fantastic blog on GA4 and all analytics topics. And over here it's
Michaela what?
Michaela Linhardt.
Michaela Linhardt.
It's the Analytics-Kiste.
Analytics-Kiste. Analytics-Kiste.blog.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have to say she's my co-teacher. And so we're...
Analytics-Kiste, the analytics box.
Yeah.
Then
we have Demir Jaserevic.
No, I'm not going to try this. Okay, that's like Hummingbagger gepannt for again. What?
It's
Jaserevic?
I'm just...
Demir Jaserevic. I just put in Demir, and it actually was suggesting this. Yeah. Maybe because of me searching for so many Google Analytics stuff. This is Google again being so smart.
Good. And of course, we are writing as well a lot of stuff on GA4. But I think I could point you to all these sources as well.
Awesome.
Perfect. Wow.
Great. And obviously, if anybody wants to get in touch with Alexander, he's on LinkedIn. He's on Xing, which is big in Germany. Don't go to Xing. Go to LinkedIn, connect him. That was great. Thank you so much. I mean, like we're well past the hour. My mind is blown. I'm like,
it's a much different topic than what we normally discuss. So I really enjoyed it. Something a bit different. Data and analytics we don't normally cover. So thank you so much, Sander. It's been so insightful. Yeah.
Hans is thank you, Sander.
Hans, I love your podcast actually.
Everybody does. He's number 11 now in Germany. He's number 11 in the marketing podcast in Germany now with SEO-date.com. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's actually in German, but brush up your German skills and listen to Hans and his wife.
That's my plan.
It's awesome. You've gotten pretty good, so don't undersell yourself, Izzi.
Doch.
Doch. Give me the German now. That's awesome. Well done. No, this was really fantastic. My mind is blown. But still, I have to say, 50% of this whole show, I've just understand Central Station, train station, whatever you want to call it.
Station understand.
Good. But this is awesome. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Thank you so much for explaining, showing, and everything. And I think we really resonate with your plea. Get on it. Eventually, you're going to move to it. And I think this is a great opportunity again for a well-rounded online marketer, a well-rounded SEO to also be very knowledge, have a good knowledge in this. Driving up your price, so to speak, in a company, or maybe in a company that might be is about to recruit you.
True.
With knowledge like this is really worth some money.
I think, Marcus, if you wanted to come to an end, but I think the future of data analysis is not about being a master in GA4, but really connecting the dots between maybe GA4 and Search Console and Write and Sistrix and Screaming Frog, and put all these tools together and really trying to understand. So it's not about being a GA4 master. I think it's the future.
I would always trust first-party data before I would trust third-party data. Just saying. This might just be me, but whatever. By the way, we also have Benjamin Kirsche. Thank you, great show. Benjamin Cherry.
Benjamin Cherry. It's a great name.
Awesome. It's very cool. So thank you, Benjamin Kirsche, for watching on LinkedIn. Thank you, everybody. That was a great show.
Everyone.
I hope you liked this just as much as we did, and you understood a little bit less train station than I did. Also, help us make the internet carbon neutral. That's great. Thank you again for the shout out here on your background, and also for becoming carbon neutral. That's pretty cool. And other than that, just a quick reminder, we won't have a show next week because I actually this is actually my birthday week, and there's a little soiree might be happening.
Early.
We won't have a show on Friday, but obviously we're going to be back for the next week after this, before we actually go on a summer break. But we are going to hear all about it in 2 weeks' time. So thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you so much again for Alexander. By the way, we have Martin Misfeld, the image SEO GA4 master. What have you smoked? Thanks, guys. Happy weekend.
Oh, Martin. Long time no see.
Yeah, absolutely. A great artist. He's like a real artist, not just like he's not just doing image SEO. He's a real artist, very talented. You should check out his works. Thanks so much. Now we would like to temporarily redirect you from work to
the weekend. Post.
Thank you so much. See you in 2 weeks, and have
thanks,
a great
Xander. Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks, Izzi. Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks, everyone.
We know you're always here. We love you guys. Thanks, Marcus. Take care. Bye.
Enjoy your weekend.